Hey, what's up out there? It's David Duford here at davidduford.com, home of the best insurance sales training you've ever seen. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. For those of you taking off and enjoying time with friends and family, I commemorate you. And those who are working through the weekend to achieve your goals, good on you as well. So today I decided to do a little live stream training on a concept, an idea, and a really common way that a lot of new insurance agents get into selling insurance, and that is through the process of selling friends and family. Now, I know some of you, myself included, kind of recoil at the idea of having to sell somebody that you know that you have a relationship with insurance. And it's not that you're not interested in selling insurance, it's that we all have the experience of some guy who's in multi-level marketing and is selling some kind of product or service and goes on a 2+ hour spiel with you. And the only reason you let the guy in the door is because he's your best friend from high school or somebody you know from work. And it's just a giant, uncomfortable situation, to say the least. And so that's why I'm putting together this video, is because my original approach to selling family and friends was not to do it. I didn't like the idea. I thought it was intrusive. I thought it was something that should be reserved only after you've developed the capacity and understanding of selling whatever product it is that you're selling. Of course, with time and experience, I have reverted my thinking and changed my thinking on some topics, and this is one of them. And so what I'm going to do is explain to you that change in thinking, and then also explain why it's important that you do or consider selling, at least. Whether you do or not, it's your decision. Selling face-to-face or friends and family. And then also tell you the right mentality that I've developed in doing so. Because I think we all have this perception of what will happen when we sell friends and family. But that perception is something that it doesn't necessarily have to be. And so again, what I'm going to attempt to teach you here is a new way of looking at selling friends and family in order to get results without being intrusive. So let's jump right into it. So again, like I said, my initial thought on selling friends and family when I first got into the insurance business in 2011 was, this is something that seems intrusive. I don't want to go back on my friends and family and people I've connected with in my other businesses until I know what I'm doing and feel confident in what it is that I do. But the reality is that the longer you're in business, the more you see that many people just don't have insurance that should, or they are meaning to buy insurance, but they don't know where to go. There is a procrastination effect for people who know they need insurance, but will get around to it at another time. And I think this is why the friends and family approach works so well, because all of us, generally speaking, would prefer to buy from somebody we know, like, and trust and consider to be a moral, ethical person on standing on firm ground versus some stranger, some salesman that comes through the door. And the thing is that you have to look and create a perception of how you view the process that aligns with the idea, especially for you new agents, that makes the concept of selling your friends and family kind of not a good idea. So you have to change your thinking. And it's not too terribly hard as long as you realign how your process of selling them, and I use that term lightly as you'll see momentarily, how you change your process of selling them. And so let's talk about the reasons why it's good to sell friends and family first to begin with. So first of all, again, my approach here is to talk to new agents to this business. So the first reason we sell friends and family is because typically they're easier to sell. They already like and trust you. And as a seasoned sales professional myself, having trained more than 600 agents at this point, the biggest thing that's the cornerstone of all sales, at least initially, is rapport and trust, okay? You've got to have rapport, you got to have trust in order for a stranger to buy from you. You can do that. It's just more difficult to do that with a stranger than it is with somebody who already knows, likes, and trusts you. There's a barrier that is not there with friends and family that is there with leads. So if you're out there in the field of selling insurance and you want to make some quick wins, the best thing to do is to compile a list of friends and family and then offer the opportunity to show them what you do. We'll get to that in a little bit. The other thing that's beneficial to selling friends and family, and this goes hand in hand to why it may be a good idea to start with your natural market, your friends and family first, is that they're easier to refer. So one of the big reasons, as I'll demonstrate momentarily, that selling friends and family is worthy of consideration is because it's easier to generate referrals from these people who already have a history with you. Referrals are the best sources of leads imaginable. Referrals more often buy and do so in larger amounts. And what you need to understand too about referral generation is that referrals usually refer, okay? There is a pattern in which people fall into that if they are comfortable referring, it's likely that the person they're referring to has been referred to them before by that same person for something else. And so there's a series of events that happen to where you can literally generate a lot of business without having to cold prospect. And if you've ever sold insurance or sold anything before, cold prospecting versus referral generation, I would rather work referral generation all day long. And then lastly, it's easier to learn. And I think this is huge. The people that already know, like, and trust you are going to be more forgiving as you are learning the products in which you're being taught. It doesn't matter if it's a simple product or a complex product. The process of learning, it's a lot more understandable by your friends and family than it is with a stranger, a cold prospect, or leads that you have to purchase. So you can take a little bit of pressure off of yourself. You really can when you go out and you present to your friends and family. So all of these things make this particular approach really palatable for the new agent. It's easier to learn the product, it's easier to refer, and it's easier to sell. The key thing here, as we'll get into now, is what type of perception should you have going into an approach where you sell friends and family? Especially if you're listening to this video and think I'm full of it, that you would never do this. I'll ask you to suspend your disbelief and walk through this process of thinking differently in which we approach this idea. And the way that I recommend agents to do this is not to think of your meetings with friends and family as a sales presentation. Instead, what you need to think about is that your presentations to friends and family is really just an opportunity to show them what you're doing now within your career. On top of that, making sure that there's no obligation or feeling that they have to buy something from you, or that if they say no, it'll ruin your relationship, okay? And the best way to do this is to actually state this, is to actually let your friends and family know that are willing to see you, that doing so means no obligations whatsoever, that you're just there to show them something that may be of interest to them, to get an opportunity to maybe possibly help them out, and understanding that if it's not for them, it's totally fine, and you intend to respect that 100%. If you say something along those lines, that's going to be completely different than the other situations and circumstances they've been pitched on a multi-level marketing opportunity. It is going to be completely different, and it sets the table as to how that interaction will be. So why do we do this? So I believe this particular approach is good because it will build more trust and likability even in friends and family. Because we're not just trying to potentially sell friends and family. I think equally as important, we're trying to generate more people to see through a series of referrals given by our prospects. And our friends and family are going to be more inclined to do that if we do not pierce that particular mode of or sphere of trust, that we don't high pressure them, that we don't make them feel obligated. So that if we don't make the sale through just the simple process of explaining what we do, then we still have the opportunity to generate referrals, which are just as good. And there's a specific way we'll talk about generating referrals I think are unique to the insurance business. I think, so what you do, so how would this actually look in a sales presentation manner? So you would sit down with them and just begin to explain to them, okay, so here's what I'm doing now in my career. I sell insurance and I specialize in this particular type of product. I just want to show you a little bit about how this works and kind of the different areas in which I specialize in. And I want to start off with your permission just to ask you a few questions to kind of help me present to you kind of how this works and what may be something you may be interested in. If not, again, no big deal. I'm not going to push you or anything. And then go through the fact finder that you've been taught. And then what'll happen is that as you begin to explain, you fact find, you follow the process, you explain, therefore, the product or solution to your client, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to listen attentively, and they're not going to be interested because it's not for them. You've gotten the experience, which is great, of selling and presenting in a similar situation to people you're strangers to. But there are going to be circumstances where people buy because, like I said, a lot of people out there right now as an insurance rep, friends and family need to buy life insurance. They've put it off, or they need to buy some kind of insurance. They'd be interested in some retirement-based insurance solution if somebody would just show up and explain it to them. Again, done in the right manner, there's a lot of business out there, and you will sell people with this particular approach. The difference is that you will be able to generate referrals much easier from those people you don't sell, as well as those that you do. And through this process of education and explanation, they're going to be drawn to you because you're fulfilling the promise of not pressuring them or making them feel bad or eating up hours upon hours of time explaining how the downline works and the product's the greatest thing ever. And so the big goal here is to continue to generate referrals, to generate what I prefer to call introductions. And this should be the goal at the end of every sales call or presentation that you do with your prospects, whether or not they buy. And as far as how to do a proper introduction to get insurance leads or referrals, check out Savage on Selling here. This guy is an old kind of legend, I guess you could say, in the insurance business. And he's got a whole chapter in this book, or several, maybe this one or another one, where he talks about his strategy to generate referrals through introductions. And he asks these of everybody. In fact, he spends the first sales call doing everything other than actually talking about insurance. He develops a relationship with these referrals before he goes into the process of potentially looking at some financial products to sell them. So that's really it, guys. That's the critical aspect of understanding this business. I just think that the friends and family approach is a palatable, viable way to sell and get involved in this business without the expense of generating leads. I think you've got to do it the right way. And I think you've got to have the right mentality, which is why I've gone over this. The last thing that may be of a concern here is the technical aspects of the product you sell. And just like everything else, there's a solution to that. You want to make sure, if you use this particular method, that you make sure you have a mentor or somebody in your corner that can help you explain the more fine technical details. Maybe on a second call, you bring in somebody from your office, or you discuss this with your mentor, maybe the underwriting aspect of it, and then you go back at that point, if they're interested, to actually present and close the sales opportunity. So I think you have to couple some training, some interaction with somebody who has a superior understanding of the products and how to demonstrate the benefits to the client in order to make this particular method work well. Hey, Scott, good morning. How you doing? So I do hope that you enjoyed this training. Please feel free to share it with any new insurance agents, even experienced insurance agents that you think would benefit from this. Also, I was asked to like the video, subscribe if you like these kind of training videos. I do lots of these every single week. And feel free to leave comments, questions below. Be happy to help anytime. My name is David Duford at davidduford.com. Hope you guys have a good weekend.